Wang Shen has traveled through. A Chinese-American teenager living in England. With the addition of the stars must-kill skill system, he gained his ultimate skill at the beginning. Nesta's elegant tackle. A superstar rising from the back waist position. Facing Messi. There must be a break between two shovels. Facing Cristiano Ronaldo. Hey, don't jump. Facing Neymar. Straighten your neck, don't be afraid, I don't hit anyone. Just when people thought he would be the next captain of Manchester United and another Roy Keane, Wang Shen left alone. Full moon curved blade. David Beckham taught it. Fried meatballs. I learned it myself by watching videos. Bamboo roundabout. Isn't this something that can be done with feet? When Wang Shen's development far exceeded expectations, the old nobleman calmly smiled and said, "That's why I chose the king between Bogba and the king. He has a heart that never gives up." Bogba. Talking too much is like tears. Morris. Guess how did brother break his nose bone? Deibu. God, I am tied with the king for second place. Xiao Xiao Luo. Brother. I heard you have Portuguese nationality. Come and play brother football. Keywords of the novel. Start with a slide shovel. I have no pop-ups on British Emperor Star. Start with a slide shovel. I download the complete TXT collection on British Emperor Star. Start with a slide shovel. I read the latest chapter on British Emperor Star. Chapter 1. Sir Alex Ferguson watching from the sidelines. Labor management is just a slippery slope. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Sir Alex Ferguson watching from the sidelines. Labor management is like a shovel. December 27, 2011. Carrington Training Base, Manchester. On the lawn in front of the arched building, players wearing yellow and green vests were fiercely fighting, and cheers could not be heard. Wang Shen stared blankly at the stadium, his thoughts not yet calming down from the incident of crossing over, as memories of the original owner of his body flooded in. Wang Shen, born in Portugal on June 1, 1995, trained in Portuguese sports when he was young. Later, he settled in Manchester with his family and entered Carrington Training Base for training. Manchester United's U10 career was his shining moment. As a forward, he cannot be said to score goals like a horse, but his talent displayed is enough to be valued by the team. Just 2 years later, he had to give up his attacking position and retreat to midfield to maintain his competitiveness on the field. Another year, he, who lacked talent, had no choice but to retreat to the backcourt to ensure that he could still stay at Carrington Training Ground instead of being eliminated. That 13, with both hands in his pockets, he watched his peer James Wilson galloping on the green field, unsure of what his opponent was. That afternoon, he was in the dark corridor of the office area, kicking the walls repeatedly. The wall debris fell to the ground, and the sound of shattered dreams echoed in the corridor. At that time, he wanted to bid farewell to football, but the old man encouraged him, and in order to stay at Carrington, he chose to gain muscle. In a hurry for 3 years, at the age of 16, he has been promoted to Manchester United U18. Is it because of talent? Is it because of hard work? Is it because the future is predictable? No, none of them are. Because at the age of 16, he has strong muscles, a positive attitude, and clean feet, making him an indispensable tool for geniuses. If everything goes smoothly, he will continue to move forward and walk the path of being a tool man to retirement with an enviable salary. But he didn't have that opportunity anymore, because Wang Shen had already replaced him. And before this child's thoughts completely dissipated, the most important thing he cared about, Wang Shen turned his head to look at the edge of the field, and Sir Alex Ferguson was chewing his gum with a deep gaze at the field. Is it playing a game for him? Does Evans really need to rest for 2 weeks? Reserve team coach Warren Joyce approached Sir Alex Ferguson and frowned as he asked. Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes. Jones and Smolin are still sick, and Ferdinand's back injury has recurred. Warren. Sir Alex Ferguson stared at Warren and said, "Our situation is indeed difficult, but we will win, won't we?" "Yes, we will win because you are here," Warren said firmly, but as Sir Alex Ferguson's gaze moved away from his face, a hint of concern flashed uncontrollably in his eyes. Including Vidic, who was reimbursed last season, Manchester United has already had 5 defensive players injured, and coupled with Anderson's unclear form in midfield, Fletcher has been reimbursed for the season. I just caught up with my noisy neighbor on the points, but then caught up with a wave of injuries. One careless mistake made my morale jump, and the consequences are unimaginable. Just as Warren was worried, an accident suddenly occurred on the field. Jesse Lingard's consecutive disguised shaking knocked down Tom Thorpe from the reserve team, who was unable to get up after falling, indicating a high possibility of injury. Pause, damn it, this is an internal training match. Don't worry about the details, the team doctor will enter. Warren yelled and got a headache-inducing result. Tom Thorpe was injured. Damn it, Sir Alex Ferguson is here to pick a helper, not to see you guys create injuries. Warren thought of turning his head to look at the seat on the side of the training ground, where the guards were staring at him with their eyes lit up. This is not a simple internal reserve team match, as can be seen from the fact that the elites of U21 and U18 have been drawn to participate, let alone Sir Alex Ferguson personally present. Everyone knows the current situation of Manchester United, and everyone wants to showcase their abilities in this game, but that's exactly what Warren is afraid of. He really doesn't want any more accidents. Sir Alex Ferguson has seen too many injured players in the past month, and Warren doesn't want to cause him any further trouble. King. Warren turned his gaze to the back of the seat, on the handsome young boy with a handsome and dazed expression. Ding, Ball Star Technique System Enable, Host. Wang Shen, Comprehensive Ability Value. 58, Attack. 49, Technology. 46, Mobile. 58, Power. 62, Psychology. 71, Defense. 62, Beginner's Gift Pack is opened, and the player's Destiny Ball Star skill is being drawn. Wang Shen was staring blankly at the system when he was suddenly pushed by his teammate next to him. He turned around and saw the coach waving at him. Me. Wang Shen was surprised. In his memory, he came here purely to make up for the number. Coach, what does this mean? Quickly approaching the coach, Wang Shen was led by Warren to a position far away from Sir Alex Ferguson. King, listen carefully. Your task is to put pressure on the forwards as usual, but it should be appropriate to maintain your usual clean style, understand? Wang Shen blinked and thought to himself, isn't this still making me a tool, but I don't know how to play as a defender. Although he had a passion for playing football in his past life, he was an attacking midfielder who was not very active in running and was only good at long-range coordination. Understood, coach, just take a look. Fluent English blurted out, which was also mixed with Manchester slang. You kid, are you so outgoing? Warren was taken aback by his personality change, but then he patted his shoulder, signaling that he should come on stage faster. Wang Shen didn't waste time either, as he checked the draw of his life skills and walked into the court. Hey, King, the goal is over there. A teammate shouted a reminder, thinking that Wang Shen had gone in the wrong direction, but in fact, Wang Shen only habitually walked towards the middle of the midfield. Understood. Wang Shen turned around and walked towards the position of the defender, when a familiar voice suddenly sounded in his ear. When the gentle breeze of Apennine blows over her flowing long hair, and the deep blue of the Mediterranean shines into her eyes. When the indomitable spirit of a fighter blends into boiling blood, and when the eternity of Rome is written into a lifetime's resume. You are still calm and calm like water, with tears and tears when you are not sad, and selfless joy when you are not happy. Accompanied by familiar sounds, the system page automatically pops up, and a familiar figure appears there. Flowing semi-long hair, a handsome face like a knife, and that sky blue jersey. Alessandro Nesta, who was slowly walking from the system screen, quickly clicked on the skip button in the upper right corner with his mind as he was on the field. Ding, host gains the ultimate skill. Nesta's elegant shovel, skill introduction. Every 2 effective tackles, there must be 1 violation of the opponent's ball rights, compensation 1. I am Nin Dad. Compensation 2. Feet, you are too beautiful. Compensation 3. Elegance, never outdated. I can understand the skills, but what does compensation mean? Wang Shen looked at the skill introduction on the attribute panel and was deeply puzzled. King, fill in the full-backs quickly. A hurried shout came from his ear, and Wang Shen quickly shut down the system and looked to the right. Our side's full-back attacked, and the gap he left was taken advantage of by the enemy. A familiar figure was rushing along the gap on the side. Going up, technical foul, or sliding shovel. As soon as the last monk appeared, he couldn't help but occupy the restless heart. He doesn't need to rely on his own defensive ability. His predecessor's defensive ability hasn't been fully understood yet. Instead of being played like a monkey, it's better to gamble on his own skill. Once the idea was determined, Wang Shen didn't hesitate and ran straight to the other party. 4 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters shovel. At the moment before leaving the ground, the original life skill is triggered, and the body automatically adjusts to lean to the left, with the left leg slightly bent and the right leg lightly swung. Bang! After the muffled sound, Wang Shen stood up directly with his hands propped up by the remaining strength of sliding, his entire movement enjoying a silky smoothness, elegant as walking in the shade of green. Damn it! Warren, who was standing by the border, witnessed the whole process up close and cursed at this beautiful slide shovel. Wang Shen, who stood up, was facing Sir Alex Ferguson, with only 1 meter between them. Their eyes even briefly exchanged. Too much, too much. Wang Shen's sliding shovel kept replaying in Sir Alex's mind, and this action instantly reminded him of Nesta. Indeed, just from the free and easy degree of freehand brushwork, it is exactly the same, but, Danny, as a midfielder, you should come to fill this position. Pogba is not your son, you don't need to spoil him when you step on the horse. The angry scolding suddenly sounded, not to mention the players. Both coaches looked at Wang Shen in surprise, and Wang Shen himself was not much better. He suddenly understood what compensation 1. I am the tender father meant, and this temper can truly be called the father on the field. What am I doing, Pogba? I didn't break your leg again, and your possession of the ball. Wang Shen yelled and retreated, during which he once again exchanged a glance with Sir Alex Ferguson. And Pogba, who was yelled at, woke up from the shock and went to pick up the ball honestly. Taking advantage of the attention of the crowd and being attracted by Pogba picking up the ball, Wang Shen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The words he just blurted out made him uneasy. After all, as a traditional dragon person, humility is a virtue, and introverted is mature, but this kind of completely disregarding the thoughts of others and freely expressing the feelings in one's heart, that's really cool. Newcomers and new books, seeking recommendations and collections. Signed internally, please rest assured to invest. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Manchester United Captain. We need to add another Pirlo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Manchester United Captain. We need to add another Pirlo. Give me a spot, Zayji. I know it's reckless to steal, but I have to do it. Wang Shen finished speaking to his partner and took the initiative to walk towards the top of the penalty area arc, standing in the position of a forward centre-back. After a few minutes of competition, he basically figured out the sequence of his life skills. Firstly, the success rate of the terrifying 2 must-win 1 slide shovel is based on an effective slide shovel. Once football leaves the opponent's body by more than 1.5 meters, regardless of whether the opponent is transferring the ball or passing through a person, the skill will not be activated. Secondly, compensation is not one-time, but a continuous occurrence, but it is actually a good thing for him. In terms of his personality, it is difficult to communicate without barriers in unfamiliar environments, but this compensation makes communication simple. At least in his opinion, it's much simpler. Finally, he has started trying to fix the bug in this skill. Since there must be one activation skill for 2 tackles, he has a chance to hold a successful tackle, but unfortunately, in the position of center back, he doesn't have many chances of getting stuck. And just as he was standing in his position, waiting for the goalkeeper to kick off, Coach Warren on the sidelines suddenly gave instructions. The king is going to play as a midfielder, Danny. You can play as a forward center back, but remember to substitute for the king. Danny retreated with doubts, while Wang Shen was excited. Finally, he could get stuck with a bug. Glancing at Sir Alex Ferguson from a distance, Wang Shen silently advanced to the back and stood still. Although Sir Alex did not speak, Wang Shen did not believe that conservative Coach Warren could make such an arrangement. And this substitution is exactly what Wang Shen expected, because relying on his own defensive skills, he is too dangerous in the center-back position. Adjusting the position to the lower back will be different. After all, there is still a defense line behind, which has a lot of fault-tolerant space, and you can also try card bugs after taking the ball again. Wang Shen did not stick to the front of the penalty area, but gradually expanded his running range. At first, he was just sweeping at the front of the penalty area, within the range of the left and right lanes. But gradually, he began to charge towards the center line, occasionally retracting into the penalty area as the last line of defense in front of the goalkeeper. Whenever he commands 2 center-backs to compete, it is always when he holds the power to launch his own life skills as the last line of defense. And when he rushed forward to the vicinity of the midline, it was all when his original skill had not been activated and he went to get stuck with a bug. At first, this operation made people frown, but gradually everyone found that the yellow team's defense became more and more stable. The king is playing a role. His interception success rate near the midline is not high, but the closer he is to the penalty area, the higher his interception success rate. Sir Alex quickly discovered the problem and took the initiative to explain it to Warren, who was frowning and pondering. But his god-footed and ghostly sliding shovel seems to be dancing on my heart. Warren complained. Sir Alex Ferguson smiled and remained silent, but suddenly his face froze. Wang Shen, who had just taken possession of the ball, did not quickly hand over the ball as before, but instead stopped in place. What is he going to do? Sir Alex Ferguson quickly glanced at the front court, his gaze suddenly fixed, and he saw an opportunity. Did he also see it? Just as Sir Alex Ferguson was pondering, Wang Shen on the field suddenly moved. Step firmly on the left side of the football with your left foot, raise your right foot to gather energy, and kick it out with a sudden kick. Bang! The football was kicked high by him, flying all the way to the left and forward across the midline. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the ball, except for a few, including Sir Alex, who noticed that the yellow team's left winger, ElokKobe, was galloping on the sidelines. At this moment, the Belgian's heart was filled with passion, because there was no one around him. As long as that damn one accelerating for 5 meters, ElokKobe began to slow down because that damn football didn't fall. It climbed all the way until it flew out of the sideline before showing a falling trajectory. When it completely fell, it had already flown into the goal of another court. Is it accurate? Accurate, but it seems that this accurate head is not aimed at him. King, defend well and don't kick blindly. Listening to his teammates' dissatisfied complaints, Wang Shen nodded to show understanding and suppressed his desire to refute. This long pass was indeed outrageous, but he felt a surge of excitement in his heart. When he played wild in his past life, he relied on his extraordinary penetrating power. Although his footwork was average, he couldn't hold back his good vision and many opportunities. Today's kick, although it once again proves that his body's footwork is not very good, at least his insight is still there. As long as he still has this insight, coupled with his innate skills, even without other star players, he already has a bright future. The green team kicked off from the sidelines, and Wang Shen returned to his original form, focusing on defense and no longer showcasing his poor long passes. "This kid, why didn't you realize he had such a talent before?" Warren on the sidelines looked at Wang Shen running around in the yellow team's backcourt and couldn't help but sigh. "Perhaps it's because he's recently enlightened. He had a good talent when he was a child," Sir Alex said with a furrowed brow, as if pondering something. "He reminds me of our Captain Keane," Warren said again. Sir Alex Ferguson glanced at him, waved his hand and called for the yellow team's right back, whispering a few words to him before the right back ran towards Wang Shen. "Let the king add a long pass." Warren was somewhat surprised. "Are you sure he can do it? If possible, he's not just Roy." Sir Alex Ferguson's face showed a hopeful smile for the first time, which really shocked Warren. "You should know that even geniuses like Pogba have never satisfied the old lord so much," but the tool-man king made the old lord laugh. This on the field, Wang Shen, who received instructions, also looked at the sidelines in surprise, but then withdrew his gaze and refocused on the game. Just different from before, since receiving instructions, the frequency of his head shaking has become more frequent than before. And before, he mostly looked left and right, but since receiving instructions, he has gained a lot of forward-looking gazes. Bang! Approaching the end of the game, the green team's attack became even more fierce, and the gap in the backcourt also widened. Wang Shen once again found an opportunity to pass long. The football flew high, crossing the chaotic midfield and striking directly behind the green team. It was still left winger Kagame, who cut in time and ran towards the landing point of the football. This long pass is not good because the falling football is rapidly rolling forward, preventing Kagame from getting the ball right in the first place. Bang! The green team goalkeeper cleared the ball with a big kick before him, and a threatening attack came to an end. "Fuck!" And Kagame jumped with anger, but still couldn't help but give a thumbs up to the backcourt. Wang Shen smiled and was quite satisfied with his pass. This body is only 16 years old, and there is still time left for him to train his skills. He has no need to worry about the future. Moreover, there is the system. He believes that in this life, he will have the opportunity to gallop on the professional field and complete the regrets of his past life. Look, this kid is not just the captain of Manchester United, he needs to add another Pirlo. After Sir Alex finished speaking, he ignored the stunned Warren and turned around to leave the training ground feeling satisfied. At this moment, he already had a choice in his heart. Newcomer's new book, Seeking Recommendations. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The old Baron strongly rejects public opinion. Is this what I can see? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The old Baron strongly rejects public opinion. Is this what I can see? The King. Mike Perrin's brow furrowed slightly. His performance today was indeed good, Alex, but I think it would be more secure to transfer him to U21. At the player inspection meeting, when Sir Alex Ferguson expressed his thoughts, assistant coach Mike Perrin was the first to stand up against it. Other coaches did not express any opinions on this, but instead turned their attention to Sir Alex Ferguson. Manchester United is not a one-man team, but Sir Alex Ferguson's will is above all else. He is indeed not capable of taking on a big responsibility, Perrin, but he has the ability and qualities we need, Sir Alex Ferguson whispered. If I remember correctly, he's only 16 years old this year, Alex. It's difficult for him to handle high-intensity confrontations, even if it's just training. Perrin insisted, René, I need your support on this matter. René Mullenstein, a member of the coaching staff who also oversees the technical training of Manchester United players aged 9 to 21, is one of the coaches on the field who knows young players the most. His physical development far exceeds that of his peers, which limits his future. As for his tackle ability today, I can't give any explanation except for a sudden enlightenment. Murentin's answer was off topic, as he seemed unwilling to get involved in the debate, but he also subtly expressed his own views. Mike, the King's performance in the midfield position today is commendable. He has already given the answer with his performance, and we need a substitute in this position, right? Sir Alex Ferguson looked at Perrin, trying to persuade him, but he only frowned and remained silent. What are you worried about, Mike? I need you to express your thoughts, Sir Alex emphasized. He has amazing insight, and I think everyone present can see it. Mike Perrin slowly expressed his concerns, but this ability hasn't stabilized yet, I'm afraid. Are you afraid his confidence will be undermined by the training of the first team? Sir Alex Ferguson asked. Perrin. Yes. As I mentioned before, Mike is different from other players in that he has rich experience and resilience in dealing with blows. The words of the old lord made Perrin frown and lower his head, but his later words surprised Perrin and raised her head. If possible, I will give him playing time in the following games, which will be my test for him. If he can still demonstrate this level of defense and insight in top-level competitions, he will once again be included in the key training sequence. Facing the surprised crowd, Sir Alex touched his red nose and looked down the French window at the young players coming out of the Carrington training base. There used to be his position there, Mike. I promised to give him a chance as long as he showed enough performance. And now he has achieved it, he deserves it. Sir Alex Ferguson's voice was deep and firm, with an undeniable tone that Perrin was powerless to refute. Well done, Xiaoshen. Your performance today makes me proud. Just as he walked out of the Carrington training base, Wang Shen was embraced by a blonde girl walking towards him. The plump chest tightly pressed against him, along with his curvaceous figure and delicate features, instantly made Wang Shen sink into it. I want to tell my mom this good news. Xiaoshen, your performance is really amazing. The blonde girl turned around and grabbed his hand, dragging him towards the parking lot, constantly praising him. Isabella Hall, this is the name of a young girl. In a sense, she is Wang Shen's sister. The parents of this body died unexpectedly when he was 8 years old, and Isabella's mother Selina Hall adopted him. The relationship between Aunt Selina and Wang Shen's father is very complex. They were once a couple, but they did not enter the marriage hall. Later, after getting married, they became business partners again. After Selina decided to adopt Wang Shen, her husband expressed that he did not accept Wang Shen, so he became Selina's ex-husband directly. After the divorce, Selina returned to her hometown Manchester with Wang Shen and Isabella, and let Wang Shen join her home team Manchester United. I just defended well, Isabella. Wang Shen glanced at the back of the windbreaker, which was fully supported, and after imitating his original tone, he couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. That's also a great defense, you remind me of Nesta. Isabella stopped in front of a linen white Bentley Continental and naturally opened the passenger seat to signal Wang Shen to sit on it. Wang Shen got on the car with some restraint, then sat straight according to his memory, letting Isabella bend down to help him fasten his seatbelt. During this time, Wang Shen glanced at Isabella's collar and his heart involuntarily jumped a few times with the sparkling white tremor. Afterwards, as usual, Isabella did not give Wang Shen any further stimulation until the two entered the villa. Mom, you don't even know how well Shen behaved today. I thought he would be leaving U18 in 2 days. As soon as she entered the villa, Isabella began to tell Selina about Wang Shen's performance, while Wang Shen swallowed with some restraint. At this moment, Aunt Selina is doing yoga with her back to the two of them. She is wearing a loose white shirt on her upper body and milk white half-buttocks shorts on her lower body. Her legs are kneeling on the ground, her hands are propped up in front of her, her waist is sagging and her head and neck are raised from Wang Shen's perspective. The most prominent features were the translucent white on both sides, resembling a crescent wheel, and the marks left by the tight milky white half-buttocks shorts. Really, Selina turned her head and looked back with clear blue waves in her eyes. Time seemed to have forgotten to leave marks on her face, and only the mature temperament between her eyebrows and eyes revealed her age. Wang Shen tried to pretend to be plain, but with a blush and heartbeat, he couldn't do it at all. Fortunately, your feet, you're so beautiful, played a role and made his gaze shift to Selina's feet. Those are a pair of white and tender feet, beautiful and upturned, with moderate fat and lean wrists and ankles, beautiful and natural. Selina followed his gaze and glanced at her feet. She didn't take it too seriously and stood up, asking Isabella about Wang Shen's performance. Isabella couldn't help but praise her, and Wang Shen blushed when she spoke frankly. Selina only thought he was shy, but only Wang Shen knew the reason for her blush. I think your performance is enough to impress Sir Alex Ferguson. He's not a stubborn person. Maybe you have the opportunity to train with the first team. Selina's words made Wang Shen's heart hot, and he even forgot to look at Selina's feet for a moment. It wasn't until Isabella changed into a milky white camisole pajama that Wang Shen's focus changed. Unlike Aunt Selina's moderately plump and beautiful feet, Isabella's feet are even more plump and tender, filled with youthful vitality. When Wang Shen's gaze shifted to Isabella's chest, he suffocated on the spot. Is that what I can see? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The property of inflation. Does the star's skill increase potential value? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The property of inflation. Does the star's skill increase potential value? After dinner, Wang Shen immediately locked himself in the bedroom. It's not that he doesn't want to maintain the daily habits of his predecessor. If he stays a little longer, he will be exposed. Compensation dissipated with the passage of time, and his gaze was no longer limited to his feet. He stayed there any longer. Returning to the bedroom, Wang Shen calmed down for a moment and then opened the property panel to check. Host. Wang Shen, comprehensive ability value. 58, attack. 49, technology. 46, mobile. 58, power. 62, psychology. 71, defense. 62, destiny skill. Nesta's elegant shovel. Apart from this panel, there are no other prompts, but when he stares at a specific attribute, more content will appear. Power. 62, bounce. 67, endurance. 65, strength. 63, psychology. 71, aggression. 85, interception awareness. 72, field of view. 82, defense. 62, man marking. 62, steals. 64, tackles. 60, under the three attributes of strength, psychology, and defense, there are delicate branches, but not offensive and technical. After checking several times, Wang Shen guessed that the branch attributes would only be displayed if they exceeded 60, and those below 60 would not be displayed. After making a guess, Wang Shen's gaze briefly paused in 82's field of vision, which should be an ability he had in his previous life. And another branch attribute that exceeds 80 is aggressiveness, which is the highest attribute left by the original consciousness of this body, even surpassing Wang Shen's inherent field of vision attribute. The remaining aggressiveness is so high. How much higher is his original aggressiveness? How can this kid maintain a clean defense? Wang Shen entered a dreamland with doubts, and 2 rounds of translucent white appeared again. The next day, he woke up and quickly changed his pants. After finishing breakfast with her head down, Isabella escorted him to the Carrington training base. During this time, Wang Shen didn't speak much, and it was his dream from last night that made him feel ashamed. But when he arrived at the U-18 training ground as usual, he was told by the coach that he wanted to participate in joint training with the first team. Is this entering the first team? Excitedly packing up his personal belongings, Wang Shen immediately went to the first team to report, and here he was not the only member of the youth team. Paul Pogba, Will Keane, Friars, Lionel Cole. There are too many injured players in the first team, and many familiar figures of Wang Shen appeared here. After a brief self-introduction, Wang Shen registered his number with the staff. 35. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Unable to retrieve number 8 from Anderson's hands, he chose this number as the second best option. Follow me, you need to strengthen your tackle. A clever tackle won't give you a chance to play. Before he could participate in the joint training, he was called aside by Coach Mullenstein and began targeted training to tackle the ball. Yesterday, you used more foot tackles than the outer soles and dribbling techniques. Today, our main focus is on training. Mullenstein did not immediately give him practical training, but explained the technical characteristics of tackling to him and emphasized the timing of tackling. Wang Shen couldn't help but frown after only listening for a short while. It's not because he encountered any difficulties, but because he felt that Mullenstein's account was too simple. It can't be said simply, it's more like when the other person says something, they can understand the key points and quickly draw inferences. Am I just a tackle genius in my past life, but I haven't met my own bull? He couldn't help but think otherwise. His understanding of tackling was too fast, but in the following practical exercises, he tasted the bitterness. That feeling was like my body couldn't keep up with my mind. I had already taken a good route, but I ended up feeling lonely with just one step. Fortunately, the skills can also be activated during practice, which has enabled him to find a better way to learn, which is to learn from the experience of repeatedly activating his own life skills. Throughout the morning of practice, Wang Shen felt like he was constantly improving, from the timing of the tackle to the adjustment of his body upon landing, every detail was growing rapidly. This kid's progress speed is simply visible to the naked eye. At lunchtime, Murentin spoke to Sir Alex Ferguson in this way, which aroused his curiosity. So during the afternoon training, Sir Alex began to pay attention to Wang Shen and indeed found that his tackle ability improved rapidly between a god and a ghost. This discovery surprised him greatly. After a day of training, Wang Shen sitting in Isabella's car suddenly realized that his branching attributes were so strong. 7 points for tackle, 1 point for interception awareness, 2 points for agility, 2 points for reaction, and 2 points for balance. Both agility and responsiveness have broken through 60, and branch attributes have emerged, with the former reaching 61 and the latter exactly 60. During a day of training, 5 attribute points changed, with the highest directly increasing by 7 points and the lowest also increasing by 1 point. You're not right. Even if I were a genius, I wouldn't have grown up like this unless Wang Shen's gaze fell on Nesta's elegant sliding shovel, and he had a vague guess in his heart. Another night's dream. The next day, Wang Shen continued his tackle training, but after one day of training, Coach Mullenstein stopped him. I will suggest to Alex that you participate in the joint training appropriately and be prepared. Mullenstein's words stunned Wang Shen for a moment, but he quickly expressed his gratitude. Later on the way home, Wang Shen opened the system again to check, and indeed, the attributes of these 5 branches still changed. 7 points for tackle, 1 point for interception awareness, 3 points for agility, 3 points for reaction, and 3 points for balance. The last 3 items were slightly more than yesterday, but the first 2 items remained unchanged, which made Wang Shen more convinced of his speculation. This life skill not only brings skill effects, but also enhances the potential of corresponding attributes of skills. My interception awareness is the highest among several branch attributes, so it grows slower. As the main attribute of this skill, tackle itself has low attribute points, which is why its growth is exceptionally rapid. After the speculation was confirmed, Wang Shen's heart was filled with enthusiasm. There is no need to improve his tackle attribute too much. As long as he reaches the average value in the Premier League, combined with skill effects, his tackle ability will definitely be at the top level. By then, with this ability alone, he would be able to secure a position as the main defensive midfielder for most Premier League teams. A beautiful future, I'm here. With boundless imagination for the future, Wang Shen rewarded himself tonight by taking 2 more glances at the hem of Aunt Selina's shirt. Well, it's still so white. My young man has grown up. Perhaps she noticed Wang Shen's gaze. Aunt Selina touched his head before he entered the bedroom and said. This sentence made Wang Shen's blush. He could no longer look at his big white and tender legs, and fled upstairs. I won't dream tonight, I won't dream tonight. In fragmented thoughts, a beautiful dream descended and the moon disk hung high again. Newcomer's new book, seeking tickets for collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. New to the big list. I turned out to be the winner of the Old Lord's game. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. New to the big list. Am I actually the winner of the Old Lord's game? The next morning, Wang Shen continued to train alone, but in the afternoon he participated in a 20-minute team match. Still in the midfield position, he demonstrated impressive interception ability while partnering with Carrick, which surprised the first-team players. Of course, what's even more surprising is his almost uninterrupted roar on the field. Whether it's his opponents or teammates, there are hardly any players he hasn't criticized. Fortunately, he roared loudly and his feet were clean without hurting anyone. Otherwise, he would have to be taught to be a good person by the big brothers in the first team. This kid is really not afraid of the game. After the game, assistant coach Perrin walked towards Sir Alex Ferguson with the player list and said. So Warren said he looks like our Captain Keane. Sir Alex Ferguson took over the player roster, and some of the names on it were already marked below. Perhaps we should take Ranieri, his abilities are a bit similar to Anderson's. Anderson's knee injury is still a concern, so it's best not to let him play unless it's necessary. Perrin followed Sir Alex Ferguson towards the locker room and glanced at the black-haired player ahead. He knew the underlying message of Sir Alex Ferguson's words and wanted to bring that kid with him. I know, but I need to consider more comprehensively. Sir Alex Ferguson picked up a pen and marked the list, while Perrin frowned as he watched, but did not say anything. Before long, the two of them walked into the locker room, and the players had quietly sat down, waiting for Sir Alex Ferguson to announce the squad. Welbeck, Berbatov, Hernandez, Park Ji-sung, Carrick. Sir Alex Ferguson began naming, and the first players to be named were not excited. They were all regular players and regular visitors to the squad. A few young team players who were transferred were quite excited, occasionally shaking their fists and legs, hoping that their names would appear on the squad, but Wang Shen's face remained calm. He doesn't think he can make it to the big list, regardless of age or strength. He doesn't feel like he meets that standard. Wang Shen. The last name was revealed, and Wang Shen suddenly lifted his head, looking at him with a few jealous gazes, but more of a surprise. Manchester United's meritorious coach Sir Alex Ferguson has entered the field, and we can see him signing for the fans. The choir in the centre of Old Trafford Stadium sang a birthday song, and the fans also sang along, sending their 70th birthday wishes to their meritorious coach. The voice of Sky Sports commentator Martin Taylor spread to thousands of households through television, and many Manchester United fans only then remembered that today is Sir Alex's birthday. Sir Alex will have a happy birthday because in the past 10 matches between Manchester United and Blackburn, Manchester United has achieved an impressive record of 8 wins and 2 draws, remaining unbeaten. Alan Smith's voice followed closely behind, but Martin Taylor immediately expressed opposition. That's not necessarily true, Smith. Manchester United has too many injured players, including Owen, Anderson, Vidic. Okay, Martin, but I don't recommend you continuing, otherwise you may not be able to finish reading that list until the end of the midfield. The two of them played a small joke while also leaving a suspense for the competition. This is clearly intentional by the two, otherwise Manchester United's match against Blackburn would have nothing to say, and it would only lead to a decrease in ratings. Let's take a look at Manchester United's squad. Forward. Welbeck, Berbatov. Midfielders. Hernandez, Park Ji-sung, Carrick, Nani. Backline. Evra, Phil Jones, Rafael, Valencia. Goalkeeper. De Gea. Substitutes: Wilkeen, Diouf, Anderson, Pogba, Shenwang, Friars, Lindegaard. If the main lineup cannot reflect Manchester United's financial constraints, then the three young players on the bench are enough to explain everything. Martin Taylor did not forget to suppress Manchester United at the end of his introduction, trying to make the audience feel that it was a competitive game, but not including himself. Blackburn's roster is much better. Forward: ElokKobe, Rockner. Midfielders: Peterson, Formica, Nzonzi, Petrovic, Jason. Backcourt: Samba, Grant, Henry. Goalkeeper: Boone. Substitutes: Josh, Blackman, Goodwig, Slavic, Vulcevic, Jacob, and Lingensch. Blackburn's lineup is much more well-organized, which is not good news for Manchester United, who can fill the bench with injuries. Alan Smith emphasized Manchester United's weaknesses again after the introduction, but soon they realized that there was no need for them to do so. In the 16th minute of the game, within Manchester United's penalty area, Berbatov unreasonably pushed his teammate Valencia away, attempting to clear the ball over Blackburn player Samba. He clearly misjudged his own abilities, and the strong Samba easily put him behind and tried to compete for the top, while the unwilling Berbatov chose to pull people for a foul. Drip. The referee's whistle sounded, without giving a card, but his right hand pointed straight towards the penalty spot. Blackburn striker ElokKobe took a penalty kick and the football was kicked into the right side of the goal in one go. De Gea misjudged and headed towards the left side of the goal. 0.1 in the 6th minute of extra time in the first half, Blackburn's forward ElokKobe was still the one who received the ball from the right side outside the Manchester United penalty area and shot straight into the far corner. 0.2 at the end of the first half, Martin Taylor and Alan Smith both looked a bit dazed as they rubbed against the rising ratings. Sir Alex's 70th birthday, is this how Manchester United players play? How can this old lord's hair dryer blow out directly? They are very curious about the scene in Manchester United's changing room, which is definitely a viewing code, but unfortunately they cannot enter. But Manchester United players in the locker room didn't feel that good anymore. The first thing Sir Alex Ferguson did when he entered the locker room was to kick and knock down the tactical board. Speaking of tactics. Just kidding, at this moment, I'm still talking nonsense about tactics. The old man only wants to curse, and the first one to bear the brunt is Berbatov, who made a big mistake. Watching the scene of the handsome brother in the ostrich costume, allowing the old lord to sprinkle water on his head, Wang Shen didn't feel scared, he just wanted to laugh. He really couldn't understand why this guy who played the whole game without sweating actually ran back to his own penalty area to participate in defense, which string in his mind didn't match. Defense is just about defense. The problem is, you have to look at Sancho to see who's not good. That guy is a defender, can you handle it with your body grid? The halftime quickly passed, and the two teams switched sides to play again. Manchester United finally regained their form. In the 52nd minute of the second half, Berbatov, assisted by Raphael, headed the ball and scored a goal for Manchester United. In the 62nd minute of the second half, Berbatov received Valencia's clever cross shot to equalize the score. After scoring 2 goals in 10 minutes, Berbatov completed his own redemption and also secured a glimmer of victory for Manchester United. The upcoming battle situation is extremely anxious. Manchester United wants to win all 3 points to compete against Manchester City for the top spot in the Premier League, while Blackburn is in the relegation zone and desperately wants to bite a piece of flesh and regain health on Manchester United. In the 80th minute of the game, Blackburn centre-back Grant Hanley successfully competed for the top spot twice in a row within the Manchester United penalty area and ultimately scored the goal. Wang Shen could clearly hear the old lord scolding, but what curious him was how the fragrant old lord guaranteed not to spit out his chewing gum. However, this curiosity disappeared when the old lord's gaze swept over him. He straightened his waist like all the substitutes and put on a posture of waiting for the old lord's call at any time. Sir Alex waved his hand, and the assistant coach immediately warmed them up. This was their third warm-up in the game. As everyone warmed up and returned, the game had already reached the 83rd minute, and Sir Alex frowned as his gaze scanned the group. It is evident that he is not very satisfied with the few people in front of him, which is not surprising, after all, the most anticipated one, Anderson, is already on the field. The king. Finally, the old lord nodded at Wang Shen, which made the other people cast jealous glances at him. And Wang Shen himself was also surprised. He thought it would be Bogba. After all, this guy's attacking ability is obvious to all, but he is a bit afraid of confrontation, so he cannot like it. However, Wang Shen quickly adjusted his mentality and came to Sir Alex Ferguson's side to wait for instructions, while also trying to suppress his excitement. He never expected that one day he would become the winner of the old lord. What a fortunate thing. I need some monthly tickets, but I still don't have any. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Taking orders in the face of danger. Go on and break the Premier League record. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Taking orders in the face of danger. Go on and break the Premier League record. Listen up, your task on the field is to grab the ball, and once you grab it, immediately distribute it nearby. Do you understand? The old lord pulled Wang Shen over and shouted loudly in his ear. Understood, boss. Should I run to the front court to grab it, or should I hold on? Go step on the horse's defense. Sir Alex Ferguson spat out his chewing gum and roared, you can go wherever the ball is, free agent, understand? Understood, boss. Manchester United underwent a 1-on-1 substitution, with defender Raphael being replaced and defender being replaced. He is also a young player who has only played in Manchester United's U18. Martin Taylor's voice carried a hint of doubt, as he clearly did not understand Sir Alex Ferguson's intentions. Perhaps Sir Alex wants Phil Jones to go to the front court, he has a strong impact and passes well. Alan Smith gave his guess, but few people believed it. Let a young player who has only played U18 play alone in the centre-back line. Is Sir Alex Ferguson crazy or doesn't he want to win? Longua Forum. Who is this guy who came on in the 85th minute? Yellow race people. Besides the stick, don't you remember that there are also yellow race people like me? Lack of knowledge is not enough. This is a Chinese American and a regular guest in Manchester United's U18 matches. I'm not good. The knowledge upstairs is very extensive. Can you give me a nickname? The plot is simple and straightforward. He broadcasted the ball, as Zhang Jungang just said during the live broadcast, he must have heard it there. If you can see through it, don't tell through it. You can still be friends and seek the same number. Same request number. Same request number. Same ball number. Without any accidents, as soon as the number is requested, the forum will instantly tilt. Old Trafford Stadium, VIP private room. Mom, Shaoshan is on the stage. Isabella stood up excitedly and approached the field, saying, I see it. Selina tried to remain calm. After all, the several business partners she invited were still nearby, but the blush on her face still exposed her excitement. At the age of 16, he made his debut, and the Jazz was as bold as ever in their personnel, said a partner next to Selina. Matt, your statement seems to be saying that Shaoshan's skills are not enough. Another partner said in a strange tone, and after he finished speaking, he glanced at Selina as if he was asking her for credit. Matt quickly spoke up to make amends, but Selina's mind was not on them. She was always staring at the field. On the field, Wang Shen had already completed a tackle, but unfortunately did not trigger the skill. However, he had reached 81 tackle abilities, which still forced the opponent to make a mistake. Valencia, who rushed up to the front court, happened to pick up the ball. He glanced at the opponent's goal and completed the cross before the defensive player could force it. This was a cross with almost no arc, and Blackburn defender Samba easily determined the landing point and headed the ball to clear. Wang Shen rushed towards the ball without hesitation. Bang! Blackburn midfielder Nzonzi, who was the first to grab the football, cleared the ball with a big kick, and their two forwards ElokKobe and Rockner rushed towards Manchester United's backcourt with both arrows. Following behind the two, Valencia, Nani, and Wang Shen were struggling to catch up, but the three quickly stopped because Park Ji-sung had already taken possession of the ball. Without immediately launching a counterattack, Park Ji-sung handed the ball to Anderson on the left side. Anderson's attempt to break through was unsuccessful and he returned the ball to Carrick. Carrick immediately passed the ball back to the right. Nani broke through with the ball and passed it to Valencia on the sidelines. Valencia approached the baseline and then passed it horizontally to the center again. Berbatov relied on a small angle from Samba to return, and Welbeck didn't have time to stop the ball and chose to push the ball with his foot arch. Bang! A series of quick passes and clever shots were blocked by the opposing defender's knee. Nowadays, Blackburn's penalty area is packed with people. In order to defend the 3 points they are about to get, except for two forwards, all their players have squeezed into the penalty area. Since Madman developed the tactic of using a coach, it has become a must-practice tactic for weaker teams. Almost no Premier League team, including Manchester United, does not know how to use a coach. Fuck. Sir Alex Ferguson jumped in anger, and after cursing, he suddenly felt that he was not relieved enough. He then greeted Mourinho in his heart. This greeting only came to a halt halfway through because of an accident on the field. In less than a minute of playing, apart from completing a decent tackle, Wang Shen, who was chasing the ball like a headless fly, happened to appear on the opponent's clearance route. The ball that came out of his knee was fast and flat, and Wang Shen had almost no reaction time. He just instinctively wanted to use his feet to unload the ball. At this moment, the unique stopping skills of Dragon Country players played an unexpected role. The ball stopped wide and the angle was unexpectedly off-center. The yellow and black football passed between two Blackburn midfielders and miraculously arrived at Welbeck's feet. If the ball happened to come to the feet of Xiao Sa-gu, perhaps Xiao Sa-gu could still shoot a kick in the chaos with his impressive strength, but 21-year-old Welbeck clearly did not have this ability. He reluctantly pushed away the defensive players, trying to use brute force to gain shooting space for himself, but by the time he completed his turn, the football had already been poked away. Due to the position, the person who poked the ball couldn't poke the ball outside the penalty area behind him, so he chose to poke the ball horizontally. The speed of football rolling is not fast, but fortunately there are only Blackburn players in that area, and Grant is ready to break free with a big foot. But just as he was about to kick towards the football, a red figure suddenly came flying towards him. It's Wang Shen. He has never stopped chasing football, especially when he has a bug stuck in his hand. When he was 3 meters away from Samba, he had already taken off and his body was still in mid-air. His skills had already taken over the dominance. Spin, jump, eye close not right. Bending his knees, leaning sideways, and stretching his right leg straight, Wang Shen's toes first touched the yellow and black football under Grant's round eyes. Pop. The sound was not particularly loud, but it echoed like thunder in Grant's ear. He even forgot to pull back his strength and fiercely kicked Wang Shen. Wang Shen instinctively placed his hands on his chest, and his body suddenly folded back when the tremendous force arrived. Despite being hit so fiercely, he still tried to look towards the goal, his eyes filled with warmth. Bang! A fallen figure blocked Wang Shen's view. It was Blackburn's goalkeeper Boone, but the football had already rolled under him, and at the same time, there was a roar coming from the Old Trafford Stadium. The ball is in. This ball is in. Wang Shen thought excitedly, and only then did the excruciating pain hit. His arms seemed to have broken, and his chest felt cramped with pain. Team doctor, quickly call the team doctor into the field. He heard someone shouting in his ear, sounding like the voice of the handsome guy, and this guy became impatient again. 2 consecutive monthly tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Extract Premier League Superstar Skills. He is both a beloved and an abandoned child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Extract Premier League Superstar Skills. Is he a darling or an abandoned child? GOLLLL. The sliding tackle of U18 young player Shen Wang from Manchester United rushed out like an arrow leaving a string. Blackburn's goalkeeper had no choice but to take this ball, and his save was more like a tribute to King Shen. This should be the best gift Sir Alex Ferguson received on his birthday. I'm not talking about this goal, but about Shen Wang. His future is worth looking forward to. Martin Taylor's passionate voice rang out, and he was excited to witness the young general's successful birth. However, just as he was about to say something more, his partner Alan Smith screamed and interrupted him. 213 days at the age of 16, 213 days at the age of 16. Shen Wang broke the record set by his teammate Rooney for 16 years and 360 days of goals. It also broke the record for the youngest Premier League goal scored by Wogan at 16 years and 270 days, and Milner at 16 years and 256 days. Alan Smith's words stunned Martin Taylor and also stunned the fans in front of the TV. Is this breaking the record? Has this young player from Manchester United U18 broken the record? While the fans in front of the TV were still paying attention to the records, the fans on site were paying attention to the injured Wang Shen. At this point, Wang Shen was already on a stretcher and being carried away from the field with a brisk step. His condition didn't look very good. Selina found it difficult to maintain her previous composure, quickly getting up and leaning against the railing, staring from a distance at Wang Shen being carried on a stretcher. Shen Wang's condition is not very good, perhaps his arm has already been broken. From the replay, it appears that Grant has not fully recovered. Martin Taylor directed the audience's gaze to the audience below, and the camera was now facing Wang Shen. He looks a bit dazed, maybe he's worried about his future, he said. Worries are inevitable, after all, just getting a chance to play. A big injury at this age is not a good thing, but if it's just a broken arm, it won't have a significant impact on the players. Alan Smith's words have gained recognition from many fans, but they are still worried about Wang Shen. On the contrary, Wang Shen himself did not worry about his emotions. The reason why he looked dull was because of the sudden system prompt. Ding! The host broke the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League at the age of 16 years and 213 days, and received a Premier League Superstar Draw Voucher *1, whether to use Premier League Superstar Lottery tickets *1, yes, no, yes. Wang Shen cooperated with the team doctor to check his arms while silently reciting in his heart. Ding! English Premier League Superstar Skill Extraction. The system fell into silence, and Wang Shen's somewhat dull gaze returned to clarity, followed by inquiries from the team doctor. Does it hurt here? No pain. What about here? It doesn't hurt either. It looks like your arm is not broken, but it's best to have a more detailed examination. You're too young and your body is developing. I can play. Wang Shen interrupted the team doctor's words and said with a firm attitude. King, you have been replaced. Assistant coach Mike Perrin's voice rang out, and Wang Shen turned his head to see him pointing towards the fourth official. The fourth official has raised the replacement card, red 35, green 42. Wang Shen down, Bogba up. I can still kick. Wang Shen grumbled discontentedly, looking at Sir Alex Ferguson standing in front of the coach's seat. He was chewing his gum and looking seriously at the field, without paying any attention to Wang Shen. You're still young, King. Alex is here to protect you. Don't think too much. Your performance today was very good. Perrin's fragmented voice echoed in his ear as he tried to calm Wang Shen's emotions. This was the job responsibility of an assistant coach, and he was well versed in it. Longua forum. Does he always end up so fast in just 1 minute? Upstairs, what you said is ambiguous. Delete it and let me do it. 5 major leagues, the English Premier League, just being able to play for 1 minute would be great. There's a goal, what kind of bike do you need? I'm not good, this guy broke the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League. Isn't this record held by me, the Dragon Man, in the future? Upstairs, my head is what? This is Chinese, British, not dragon. The layout upstairs has become smaller, and the world's dragon people are a family. If the barbarians enter China, then China will do it. If China enters the barbarians, then they will do it. Don't forget the national shame. It's crooked. If you don't say anything else, let's just say this kid is not impressive, right? Bull. Bully. Bully grass. After the replacement was completed, Bogba, who ran onto the court, had already begun to participate in the attack, and Wang Shen's ears were once again filled with familiar voices. He is both a beloved and an abandoned child. He was chased and exiled. He regained respect in weightlessness and gained more respect in respect. He will leave and will never leave. My heart skipped a beat, and in the automatically popped up system page, David Beckham was slowly walking through it. The iconic golden crown of hair, dazzling earrings, and confident demeanor marked Beckham's transition from a football superstar to a world superstar. King, are you okay? Perrin noticed that his condition was not right and quickly asked softly. It's okay, Coach Perrin. I'm just worried about the game. After casually finding a reason, Wang Shen pretended to look at the stadium and took the opportunity to look at the system page. Ding, host gains Premier League superstar skill. Beckham's round moon blade, skill introduction. There is a certain chance to trigger Beckham's full moon scimitar when passing long or in the middle, compensation 1. Handsome is done. Compensation 2. Behind the cheerleading team, I don't look askance. Indeed, it's the round moon blade. This skill came at the right time, but there's a chance. The probability of using this skill is 1 out of 2, but this skill only has a certain chance. Just looking at these words alone can determine that the probability is not high, and the difference is quite large. Wang Shen thought to himself, and his eyes stopped slightly on compensation 2. He remembered a picture he had seen on TikTok in his previous life. Closing the system page, Wang Shen looked at the 4th official, who was holding a stoppage card for a full 6 minutes. In the last 6 minutes, Manchester United attacked fiercely and the players played well, at least much better than the first half. Welbeck pulled out of the penalty area and made a long range shot, Colombia also made a high quality cross, and Nani also took a direct free kick. However, these attacks were all resolved by Blackburn, and during that time Manchester United was almost stolen by Blackburn. When the final time returned to 0, the score on the scorer remained at 3.3. The two sides were tied, and each shook hands and made a peace, earning 1 point each. This was a result that neither side was satisfied with. Manchester United feels they should win, while Blackburn feels they have a chance to win. But football is like this, you can never rely on paper strength or temporary performance to determine the score. Manchester United's home game against Blackburn has come to an end, and together they presented a wonderful game for the fans. Blackburn's performance was very good, as Manchester United managed to equalize the score despite being trailing twice. At present, Manchester United is leading Manchester City by 1 point on the points table and currently holds the top spot. 2 hours later, Manchester City will have the opportunity to rewrite this ranking in their away game against Sunderland. Martin Taylor was doing a post-match summary when the TV screen cut onto a Manchester United player thanking the fans and gave Wang Shen a close up. At this moment, Wang Shen looked a bit stunned. It has to be said that Manchester United U18 young player Shen Wang, who came on as a substitute in this game, gave us a surprise. But his situation is still worrying, perhaps he will be afraid to confront because of this injury. Why don't we just get a 10,000 character medal? Thank you for the reward from 9 years. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Reputation System Enable. Help the coaching team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Reputation System Enable. Help the coaching team. Wang Shen's face was dull, not because he was afraid of confrontation, but because the system prompted him again. Ding, host appeared in Manchester United's first team game, showcasing his abilities to the fans, and the reputation system was activated. Reputation. Unknown Ding, the host scored a goal in the match between Manchester United and Blackburn, breaking the record for the youngest Premier League player to score a goal, successfully attracting the attention of fans and improving their reputation level. Reputation. Slightly famous, Ding host reputation improvement, obtain one player skill lottery ticket for feature selection, whether to use the selected player's skill lottery ticket with specific features *1, yes, no, no. Silently closing the attribute panel, Wang Shen began to focus on thanking the fans, and then returned to the locker room with his teammates. It wasn't until he took a shower that Wang Shen reopened the system. Host. Wang Shen, reputation. Slightly famous, comprehensive ability value. 60, attack. 49, technology. 46, mobile. 62, power. 62, psychology. 71, defense. 69, destiny skill. Nesta's elegant shovel, Premier League superstar skill. Beckham's full moon curved blade, lottery ticket. Features. Player's skill lottery ticket *1, star player skill lottery ticket acquisition. 1 out of 10 points, the comprehensive ability has increased by 2 points, the mobility has increased by 4 points, and the defense has increased by 7 points, all of which are changes that occurred before the game. There are 4 new attribute columns, including reputation, superstar skills, lottery tickets, and points. Wang Shen first looked at the points column and soon came up with explanatory text, which meant that participating in first-team matches could earn points, with 0 points lost, 1 point drawn, and 3 points won. If the points reach 10, you will receive a star skill lottery ticket. At present, there are skill levels available, including native skill, superstar skill, football star skill, and player skill. I'm not sure if there are any more levels. Wang Shen pondered and his gaze fell on the lottery ticket. The text explanation reappeared, and he also understood the meaning of feature pending selection. The so-called feature selection refers to Wang Shen's ability to make feature selections when using this lottery ticket. Features include shooting, passing, speed, balance of left and right feet, ball protection. Running it is very complicated, not only in terms of attribute selection, but also with some special characteristics. Wang Shen only chose it when he saw inertia shooting from the outside of his foot and his head was sick. This is actually a good opportunity to enhance my strength. Now that I have defensive and dribbling abilities, I need to improve my ball holding ability. So, choose to hold the ball. Thinking in his heart, Wang Shen did not immediately make a choice. He is planning to ask Coach Mullenstein. After all, he is the most professional in terms of technology. After hastily wiping his body, Wang Shen left the locker room to find Coach Mullenstein. Before leaving the locker room, he was inevitably praised by his teammates, and Wang Shen also smiled and thanked him. Without triggering "I am the tender father," Wang Shenping's personality is still easy to get along with. Developing ball holding ability. Faced with Wang Shen's inquiry, Murentin had a ghostly expression on his face. You better practice your defense first. In my opinion, you still have many shortcomings. Coach, I just want to know the direction of the future. Be prepared, and practicing defense every day is also very boring. Wang Shen gave himself a reason, and Murentin nodded in agreement, but then refused his request again. If it's a technical question, of course I can answer you, but this question involves your future career planning, so you should go find Perrin, said Mirundin. Coach Perrin. Wang Shen blinked and said, he's an assistant coach, you're the technical coach. Mirundin smiled and said, yes, I am a technical coach, but Perrin is better at career planning than me. He brought Cristiano Ronaldo closer to the penalty area, told Valencia to cross, suggested Rooney play in the 10th position. Anyway, you should ask him this question. Mullenstein's words stunned Wang Shen. He really didn't know that Perrin had done so much, but Cristiano Ronaldo later became a pure striker. Valencia's crosses were always criticized, and Rooney's career in the 10th position was not smooth either. In short, from the perspective of future generations, it seems that there are some problems with Perrin's key points. But looking only at the present moment, it seems that there is nothing wrong with it. So where exactly is the problem? After expressing gratitude to Mullenstein, Wang Shen went to find Perrin with doubts and finally figured out the key to the problem on the way. Conflict between team and individual. Perrin's guidance is not only aimed at individuals, but also at their role in the team. For example, when he brought Cristiano Ronaldo closer to the penalty area, he saw both his shooting talent and Manchester United's lack of attacking ability, which indirectly contributed to the development of Ronaldo Phnom Penh. For example, when he asked Valencia to cross, he probably felt that his skills were too rough and he couldn't cut inside. In addition, Nani didn't like passing, so he decided to let Valencia do dirty and tiring work. As for Rooney's career difficulties in the number 10 position, this is mainly due to his lack of defensive ability, and there are indeed not many problems in attacking coordination, so this cannot be blamed on Perrin. It seems that Perrin's ability to make career plans for players is truly unique. Thinking about these things, Wang Shen became eager for Pei Lan's guidance, and his pace couldn't help but accelerate a lot. Xiao Shen. The sudden call made Wang Shen's footsteps stop. He turned his head in confusion and saw Isabella standing at the corner. How did you get in? Wang Shen asked in surprise. This is not a place where fans can come. Mom has a very good relationship with Manchester United, so naturally I was able to come in. Isabella quickly stepped forward and grabbed Wang Shen's arm to check, does it still hurt? The pain is long gone, it's not a big deal. Wang Shen unconsciously pulled his arm backwards, and just now his palm touched a soft and tender lump. Mom wants to take you for a check. Up, let me call you, aren't you tired? Isabella asked. No need, I'm doing very well. To prove that he was not lying, Wang Shen even waved his arms to show that he was unharmed. It looks fine, but let's check it out. Isabella said with some unease, then frowned and said with a fierce expression. That damn Grant only got one yellow card. Mom has already called Joel, and he promised to push the club to appeal and get that guy banned for a few games to avenge you. Joel. Wang Shen had a puzzled expression on his face, unable to understand who this Joel was and how he could affect the operation of Manchester United club. Joel Glazer, one of the two chairmen of Manchester United, has business dealings with the Glazer family and has a good relationship, Isabella said playfully with a wink. Wang Shen was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect Selena's business to be so big. Come with me. Isabella picked up Wang Shen and wanted to leave, but Wang Shen refused to follow her. If he doesn't ask clearly about his direction for improvement, he will itch to the point of insomnia. And if he suffers from insomnia, how should he have that red-faced and red-eared dream? Charge, charge. The 10,000 character medal, I'm here. Thank you to my book friends 202010250910577765, Guangning Wang, 1608181517585553, Daytime Rice, Bitter 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 Melon Phone, Shrubby Time, Walking Alone, and bookfriend 202004031756513336 for their support and recommendations. Your support is my greatest motivation. Thank you all. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Devil Muscle Man of ElokKobe. System, do you understand? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 9. The Devil Muscle Man of ElokKobe. System, you understand the English Premier League. After persuading Isabella to leave, Wang Shen was finally able to find Perrin. Developing ball-holding ability in the lower back. Perrin's expression at this moment was even more extreme than that of Mullenstein, like an old man looking at pictures on the subway. Is there any problem with this? Wang Shen asked cautiously. The problem is big, child. You're playing with fire. Pirlo looked at Wang Shendao with a mixture of tears and laughter. If you hold the ball, there is a possibility of conceding it. Losing possession in the second half of your own game, Alex must have suffered a cerebral hemorrhage on the spot. Wang Shen thought about it and realized that it was indeed this truth. He nodded and asked, what skills do coaches think are better at developing? Short pass. Perrin replied without hesitation, you have your own people in the back, front, back, left, and right. If you have a short pass, you can attack and defend. Enter your sister's attack, retreat your sister's defense. A short pass, in the back position, can launch a fart attack. Seeing Wang Shen's expression of disbelief, Perrin understood that she had not deceived him. He wanted Wang Shen to learn some high-security skills, which showed his talent for vision. He knew that this child must want to attack. After all, a player without the desire to attack cannot have such a good perspective. This is like a eunuch, completely unaware of Momonogi, Sagazawa, Azai Lara, Kuei-si, Mizubu Sakura, and so on, a group of adorable possibilities. And he didn't want Wang Shen to focus his energy on attacking too early, which is why he tried to guide Wang Shen to learn short passing. However, this child doesn't listen to advice. The plan did not succeed, and Perrin was not embarrassed either. He just grinned and said, then let's protect the ball. Protect the ball. Wang Shen looked at the opponent with caution, this is not considered an offensive skill. Yeah, you have good tackle ability, but if you can't pass the ball in a short period of time after tackling, you need to have some ball protection ability to ensure that the ball is not lost. Perrin's face was full of seriousness, and it didn't seem like she was lying, and her words made a lot of sense. But Wang Shen still hesitated a bit, after all, there is only one lottery ticket with selectable features. If he chooses the wrong one, he will suffer a great loss. And once chosen correctly, it will be of great benefit to his development. There is another reason why I asked you to protect the ball, which is related to your longer-term future plans. Pirlo saw Wang Shen hesitating, so she took the initiative to explain. How to say it? Wang Shen asked. You have a great vision, do you know this yourself? I know. But you can't pass long now, right? Wang Shen hesitated for a moment, but ultimately nodded. Although you are not good at long passing yet, it can be practiced, so you need to prepare for it, Perrin said. Preparing for a long pass. What does it have to do with protecting the ball? Wang Shen asked in confusion. You can't even hold the ball and pass a fart. Perrin had a disdainful expression on her face, but with just one sentence, she woke up to her dream. Yeah, if I can't even hold the ball, why would I pass a fart? At this time, it's better to use a ball guard than to pass the ball over someone, after all, his long pass skills are already in place. Thank you coach, I understand. Wang Shen, who had determined the direction, arched his hand fiercely, then turned around and left, while Perrin also had a satisfied expression on his face. In his opinion, Wang Shen's future development of ball protection skills may not be as good as short passes for the team, but it is always better than bullshit possession. In short, he wants to build Wang Shen into the next Keen, and as for Pirlo and so on, he dare not indulge in extravagance now. When Wang Shen found Isabella in the parking lot, he found that Aunt Selina was also here. Before he could speak, Aunt Selina pulled him onto the car and headed straight to the private hospital. A thorough inspection from top to bottom, and by the time everything was over, the match between Manchester City and Sunderland had already ended. 1-1. Kompany's header in the final moments was absolutely tied, helping Manchester City secure a valuable point. Nowadays, Manchester United and Manchester City have the same points on the Premier League table, both with 46 points. But Manchester City's net goal tally is 39, while Manchester United only has 33, so Manchester City still ranks first in the table. Damn Kompany. This is the most insulting sentence from Manchester United fans today, even more than the times they mentioned Wang Shen during their chat. Wang Shen, who followed Aunt Selina back home, did not immediately go upstairs after dinner. Instead, he watched an episode of Downton Abbey with Selina and Isabella like his predecessor. Usually, when watching dramas, Aunt Selina and Isabella do yoga, and their predecessors also do it to increase their flexibility. After watching for over an hour, Wang Shen finally went upstairs with regret. Today, Aunt Selina was wearing a pair of long-leg yoga pants for some reason. Although that figure still makes people yearn for it, and although the moon is still round and charming, without that shimmering white, Wang Shen always feels like he has lost something. Of course, his yoga practice is definitely not for this reason, but mainly to increase his flexibility. You should know that he is a very disciplined professional football player. I'm really very self-disciplined, the trash can prove it. Use the selected player's skills to draw lottery tickets and select ball protection as the feature. Returning to the room, Wang Shen eagerly began the lottery, followed by a quiet wait. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no familiar sound in his ear until Wang Shen became impatient and the system page suddenly popped out. A burly black and hard figure with drooping and inward curved hands appeared in the shape of a fitness coach. Isn't there a copy of World Football for this? The familiar voice disappeared coldly, and Wang Shen was still a bit uncomfortable, but when he thought about it being just a player's skill, he felt relieved. The weak do not have BGM and off-screen sound. Ding, host gains ball guard skills. ElokKobe's Devil Muscle Man, skill introduction. When protecting the ball or engaging in physical confrontation, it is possible to trigger ElokKobe's Devil Muscle Man. The brief introduction ends without any compensation. The weak indeed have no human rights. Wang Shen thought this way and his gaze paused on the possible 3 words. This has no chance at all, it's directly possible. Not to mention comparing it to one's own life skill, it's even much worse than comparing it to a superstar skill. But then again, who is this guy? What is special about the ability to protect the ball? Wang Shen pondered as he opened his computer and entered ElokKobe in the search bar. Soon, the character information appeared. George ElokKobe, born on January 31, 1986, a Cameroonian football player who plays as a defender and currently plays for Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club. Wang Shen furrowed his brows. He had no impression of this person at all, let alone remembering that the Wolves had him. But looking down at the information, Wang Shen was suddenly shocked by a piece of information. This guy accidentally smashed a wall while playing for Colchester. Damn it, this is playing rugby, right? After Wang Shen finished reading the information, he was completely confused because there was no mention of this person's ball protection ability in the information. What is this? Wait, Devil Muscle Man. OMG. In an instant, Wang Shenwu realized. What is the ability to protect the ball? This horse is clearly an opponent, isn't it good? With this protective technique, is it entirely based on physical strength? Good guy, system, you know the English Premier League. I just realized the 10,000 character medal requires 10,000 characters per day for a month. If I cannot achieve it, I will retire. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Little awkwardness in the morning. Are you amazed by your skills during the training competition? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Little awkwardness in the morning. Are you amazed by your skills during the training competition? In the morning, Wang Shen was awakened by the hurried knocking on the door. What's wrong? Wearing dinosaur doll pajamas, Wang Shen opened the door with sleepy eyes and saw Isabella standing outside in a cool outfit. Look, this is all about praising you. Before Wang Shen could understand the situation, Isabella had pushed him into the bedroom and threw a thick stack of newspapers onto the bed. The Times at the top reads: Manchester United U18 young player breaks the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League. The subtitle is, Attention, National Team. He has English nationality. Seeing these contents, Wang Shen was not sleepy on the spot. Are these all about me? Wang Shen asked. Of course, I've sorted everything out. Look at it. Isabella leaned up like an invitation, half of her body pressed against Wang Shen's right body, and opened the next newspaper with her right hand. And when Wang Shen was leaned against by Isabella, little Wang Shen woke up on the spot. Fortunately, the loose and thick pajamas Aunt Selina bought him avoided embarrassment. Guardian. Chinese teenagers breaking records. Is it an accident or a result of strength? This remains to be verified. Daily Telegraph. At the age of 16 and 213 days, Wang Shen broke the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League, while Grant committed a crime. Manchester Evening News. Wang Shen, the talent of United U18, broke the record of the youngest goal in the Premier League. The Sun. A 16-year-old and 213-day-old prodigy breaks the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League, but Manchester United doesn't have his place. Keep reading newspapers one by one. My goodness, have you been scrolling through English newspapers? Shaoshan, is your clothes broken? Just when Wang Shen was feeling proud. Wait. Wang Shen quickly stopped it, but there was nowhere to stop it. Wang Shen. Isabella. Embarrassment swept over. Isabella's pretty face turned red as she was awakened by inflation, and she turned around and left with a poop. Looking at Isabella's curvaceous figure and listening to her whispers, Wang Shen felt that he was even more unjust than Do-e. After washing up with grievances, he went downstairs, and yesterday's goal was also playing on the TV. Breaking the record for the youngest goal scored in the Premier League is indeed worth writing about, but television is much more tactful than newspapers. After all, from the video, Wang Shen's ball seems more like he stole a chicken, and the host doesn't want to blow it too hard. It's not a newspaper, just start with a picture, and the rest depends entirely on editing. Let's rest for the first team this morning. I'll have the driver pick you up at noon. Aunt Selina, with her buttocks wrapped in white pants and a bright-colored suit on her upper body, said over breakfast. No need, I'll take Isabella's car. I only played 1 minute yesterday and I'm not tired. Wang Shen is not ready to rest, he still needs to rely on training to improve his attribute values. Selina looked at Isabella with a strange expression, curious about why her daughter, who was chattering all day, was so quiet today. Isabella nodded in agreement as soon as she saw her, and did not reveal the awkward scene in Wang Shen's bedroom. After dinner, Isabella drove Wang Shen to the Carrington training base as usual, and both of them remained silent on the way. Wang Shen intended to apologize, but he really didn't do anything wrong. Isabella, on the other hand, had a complex mood. On the way, she occasionally glanced at Wang Shen with her beautiful big eyes, but she didn't say anything. The awkwardness ended after Wang Shen got off the car. He entered the locker room to change his equipment and walked alone to the training ground to train for a tackle. The morning training ended, with teammates arriving one after another at noon, and recovery training in the afternoon. Wang Shen still did not participate in the joint training and chose to train tackle alone. After a day of training, attributes skyrocketed as they did a few days ago. Wang Shen returned home satisfied, but did not do yoga after dinner. Instead, he entered the villa fitness room alone and started practicing iron. As soon as he masturbated for a while, Aunt Selina and Isabella followed. The two of them turned on the gym TV and started practicing yoga while watching. Wang Shen was also so happy, enjoying his beauty while crazily masturbating until he was exhausted. Only with a 1-point increase in strength, does this player have only one potential attribute for skill growth. And is the magnitude of the increase so small? With such doubts, Wang Shen slowly fell asleep. The dream gym reappears, with various equipment, leaving behind a pool of jade and jade liquid. The next day, Wang Shen continued to train for tackling in the morning. His tackle ability has now reached 88, and he wants to explore where his maximum tackle value is. In the afternoon, the team is going to play a 20-minute training match. Wang Shen stopped his solo training and started training with the team. If there is a chance later, Pogba, I will try to pass the ball with a crescent cutter. You need to be prepared to catch the ball in the left rib of the opposite penalty area. Before the training match began, Wang Shen approached Pogba and said this, while Pogba looked at him with a silly gaze. Do you still have the curved blade of the full moon? Why don't you just give Beckham's name? He couldn't help but think otherwise. Before Beckham left the European stage, everyone thought that this fan of 10,000 could only pass the ball. But when he left the European arena, everyone realized that only Beckham could pass the ball like that. This is an undeniable public opinion, but Wang Shen dares to say so. Who gave you the confidence? Before he could express his contempt, Wang Shen had already turned around and walked towards his waist position. The coach acting as a referee blew the game whistle, and the yellow and green sides began to fight on the field. The main team had several players returning today, and Rooney wanted to take a long-range shot from outside the penalty area when he came up, but Wang Shen scored with a diagonal shot. Bang! A slide shovel without dragging any mud or water, directly flying the ball under Rooney's feet. This tackle did not trigger his own skill, but the tackle that just rose to 91 made it easy for him to stop Rooney's long-range shot. In fact, when this value exceeds 80, Wang Shen's sliding shovel power is already impressive. After 90, he feels like his tackle is being squeezed like entering a realm. Rooney, who had the ball scooped away, turned around in place to protect Wang Shen. After stabilizing the center, he saw Wang Shen already running towards his own half with the ball. Are you always so fierce, kid? He shouted at the back, but Wang Shen didn't have time to pay attention. As he approached the midline, he was ready to throw the ball. It's not that he doesn't want to get closer to the opponent's goal, but that Anderson has already leaned in and Wang Shen doesn't have the strength to showcase his footwork. Pogba, let's go. Wang Shen let out a loud shout, and the football under his feet curved like a banana, bypassing the midfield and heading straight to the upper right corner of the opposite penalty area. I wipe it so accurately. This thought flashed through Pogba's mind, and his body had already surged out. He was not slow and had Wang Shen's pre-match reminder, so he successfully grabbed the ball before Raphael. Bang! Without too much dribbling, Pogba, who caught the opportunity, directly shot with a burst shot. Line guard in front of the goal barely saved, but only managed to empty it. Even during the training match, Pogba, who scored the goal, ran excitedly for a lap, but the players and coaches focused their attention on Wang Shen, who was moving towards the defensive position. So much like no, not like, but identical. Sir Alex Ferguson's eyes narrowed slightly, and he vaguely saw the figure of the rebel from Wang Shen's body. Same handsome, same physical defense, same amazing long pass. Damn king, how did you get this ball covered up? After the celebration, Pogba shouted out the voices of everyone. Chapter 12 at noon. Chapter 18 in the afternoon. See you and don't part, please order a monthly pass. End of this chapter.